Welcome to another episode of the A-List Music Club. I am your host, the Game Changer, Wes Troop. And once again, I'm being joined by John and Dominic. How's it going tonight, guys?
Going good.
Good.
All right. And this, of course, is the show where a different one of us picks a different album each week for the others and themselves to listen to. Dominic, it was your turn this week, so tell us a little bit about what you picked.
I picked an album that's pretty much before your guys' time. It was a live album by the band Geils. It's live Blow Your Face Off, and it was recorded at Cobo Arena in Detroit. I think the album came out in 77, I think. 76. It just was a big part of my growing up and not some childhood into teenage and that type of thing. It was just to me it was a fun album. I really enjoyed it. It's Jay Geils is a band best experienced live. Okay. They've had some hits with like Centerfold and stuff like Freeze Frame, but to me that's not Jay Geils. This album right here is Jay Geils. It's live, to me they've got a little bit of mixture going on with some songs with the arrangements of the instruments and stuff like that give me a little bit of a Springsteen-ish kind of E Street band type of thing, but a lot of it reminds me of Rolling Stones. A lot of their music reminds me kind of the Rolling Stones. They have very high energy when they perform on stage. Peter Wolf, if you've never had a chance to see him live, I think he is one of the greatest frontmen of all time. And it's kind of sad because the guitar player, Jay Geils, who the band was named after, is now dead. So I don't think that, there really can be a reunion or anything. And not too many bands have a harmonica player. And they have a harmonica player by the name of Magic Dick. Just great. I love this album. There's some songs that are clunkers on it that I pass through, but I mean, I just think like House Party is just a tear the roof off the place, a rocker, and Detroit Breakdown and Give It To Me, which was a hit for them, and they have the live version is on this. And Must Have Got Lost with the long intro. It's just a classic to me, just classic stuff. So me personally, I love this album.
Yeah. I didn't hate it, but I wouldn't say that I loved it. So they kind of sound like, I guess they're supposed to, but they kind of sound like a bar band.
Yeah, that's kind of how
any bar in America, and there's a million bands that sound just like this.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's not a bad thing. Just they kind of just sound like your local bar band that got signed to a record label. I give it credit that it's like an authentic live show. Like I know some bands will just pick and choose like just the hits to put on a live album. This is more like an actual concert. You get lots of album cuts, and there's only a couple of songs I even knew. So I give them credit for that. They didn't like just make like a greatest hits live album. It's like a real concert back then.
Right.
You saw them in this tour. This is what you were gonna hear and see. Yeah, it was okay. Not something I would come back to.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean,
what I like about this live album, there wasn't the overdubs and there wasn't the adding of crowd noise. Like Kiss Alive, they really pumped up the crowd noise. And I don't know if you knew this, they re-recorded every guitar solo on Kiss
Oh,
Alive
wow.
in the
Yeah.
studio and put it into the live album. So
Yeah,
Why was Ace drunk?
no, but it was just, they wanted it to sound really good.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's a lot of bands that do that. They do overdubbing on live albums. See, this wasn't. This was just a bang right there, raw live album. What you got was what you got.
yeah, I give that. I mean, you can hear the mistakes. You can hear,
Mm-hmm.
you know, boy, is Peter Wolf a motor mouth. Man, can he talk?
Yep.
He used to be a radio DJ, so that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell the crowd is into him. I mean,
Some of the best, it was one of the best concerts I've ever been to, as far as the audience being into it and everything like that, and the interaction with the audience, just good stuff. Like I said, John, if you would have saw this concert, you probably would have liked it a lot more.
yeah. Says it's half recorded in Boston, their hometown, and the other half was in Detroit.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't bored. I mean, I didn't really know a lot of the songs. I only knew 4 songs. Must have got lost. Where did our love go? Looking for love and give it to me. It's all I do. 4 out of 7.
House Party was kind of big back in the day. That was one of their bigger hits, like in the, when this album came out, the live version. It was kind of like Rock and Roll All Night. The live version was more popular than the studio version.
I can see. I mean, I didn't grow up in the era of the live album. The 70s is the live album era.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't grow up in that, so I'm not
Mhm.
really that big a fan of them, but I get it.
Oh, really? I love live albums, man.
I mean, I don't have a, I understand their place. I get it. I would rather see it than hear it. I guess that makes any sense. It's not bad. I mean, Jay Giles is a good guitar player. Any band with a member named Magic Dick is a cool band by me.
See, to me, honestly, Jay Giles was the weakest musician of the group. Okay. What about you, Turtley Boy?
Yeah, so obviously, when I think of Jay Geils Band, I think of the songs that Dominic was talking about: Centerfold, Freeze Frame, and Love Stinks. But that's just what I know them for. I like the sort of a mix of blues, R&B, and rock. And I know you guys said like Springsteen. It kind of reminds you of
The
Rolling
Stones.
Stones. Yeah, some of it, the Blues Brothers, to me, like that kind of vibe.
I see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed most of the songs. I liked Southside Shuffle, Detroit Breakdown, Wait. The intro on I Must Have Got Lost sounded like a Dusty Rhodes promo to me. John, I'm sure you get that joke. The rest of the song, though, I thought was great. I knew Where Did Our Love Go because it's the Supremes cover. And I was like, wait a minute. It's a nice version of it, though. Looking for Love sounded familiar, too, and that's a cover. Truck Driving Man, I thought was fun and quick. Snow Cone was a fun jam song. There were a couple songs that I'd say could be skippable, like So Sharp. The 9-minute long Chimes, I'd probably skip.
yeah, definitely.
So I thought a pretty good slower song, Start All Over. And the only song that I knew by them was Give It To Me. The rest I just hadn't heard before that I know of. But like you said, Dominic, they sounded like it would be a fun band to see in concert. I don't know if I'd listen to the whole album through again, but I would listen to some of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, And like when I pick these like this with Giles and that band Stars, it's just like I want you to get a sense of what it was like when I was a teenager and growing up, and these were our bands. You know, these bands, um, Styx and Kansas and UFO and stuff like that, There's just interesting stuff. Try to expand your minds a little. So I'll start it with the rating off. I give it a solid, I'd say probably 8.5 to 9. And I think that if I hadn't seen them live, I probably would not rate it that high. But it just did such a good representation of what they are in concert, Nah, probably an 8. I'll give it an 8.
Yeah, I'd probably say a 7.
Really?
Oh, I thought you'd be a lot lower.
I thought you were going to savage this.
Well, I mean, I respect what it is. It's just saying this is not my thing. Doesn't mean that
right. Right.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I appreciate that it's authentic. There's no overdubs. It sounds like an actual show if you were there.
Right.
Yeah. So,
what about you, bud? What about you?
I'm going 7 too.
So 7.34.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, now this week or next week it'll be my turn to pick. Well, it's my turn to pick now. So I thought of an album that should be interesting. I've never heard it all the way through. I've only heard a couple of the tracks off of this. This one of my favorite bands, as we go again, but this time it's an album of all cover songs, and that would be Weezer, the Teal album. It's from a couple years ago. It has the Africa cover off of it that was pretty popular from Toto.
Okay.
So there's a lot of a lot of 80s covers on there. So I'm pretty sure I knew them all when I looked at the track list. So I was like, this will be interesting. All right, so we'll be back next week with our thoughts on Weezer. But until then, John, you want to talk a little bit about your podcast?
We Like Wrestling Podcast. That's a weekly podcast. 4 guys sitting around talking about wrestling. It's on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, wherever you find podcasts. We're on Facebook. We have a Twitter, WLW1 podcast. We Like Wrestling Podcast.
All right. And of course, for me, you can subscribe right here on YouTube, youtube.com/westside515. Like John Facebook, facebook.com/WestTrueBaylist. And of course, you can follow me on the Twitter and Instagram at West A List. Until next time, truth out.